Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to a brand new episode of Robot Wars episode reviews. We're on to Heat K of Series 4, and as we couldn't have made it clear enough from the last heat, this one is definitely, in terms of the area where things start going downhill, this is rock bottom. I mean, Heat J, at least it had some interesting robots, some robots that did well in the future, and there were one or two okay battles, but this... The robots are overall very subpar, and there's one particular one I know one of my guests will love to talk about again. But speaking of guests, of course, I have Alexthehunted.
Boo! Boo! Boo you! Boo you for making me do this.
It's not that bad. Who am I kidding? It's the worst thing ever. Apart from Heat C. And of course, and join us once again, it is Mike, aka Mystrsykoh2.
So I can't actually get home without my passport. You know that, right?
Yeah, of course, I know. That's the whole reason you're here. I mean, once again, you two join me for these two, and obviously Anson was going to join me originally, but he's not available until next week after all the wedding stuff and all that stuff. So
how dare he get married?
I know, how dare he have responsibilities and things he has to do for the next for the past 3 weeks. Whatever. But as I say, yeah, this heat, it's a heat. All right. Oh god. I mean, it's kind of proving that Evil Weevil can never be in a good heat, and
yep.
This is just cemented it, because yeah, this heat's just not that great. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's no point in sugarcoating. There's not really one battle where I go, that was a great battle, and each round sort of has a little theme. As I'll get to it until when we actually talk about the heat. But of course, we've got to talk about the robots first, and our first robot is the heat winner, which again isn't horrible as we mentioned last time, but again, it's just compared to what there is in the semi-finals. It's just, you can tell it definitely won this heat because of its opponents.
It's the weakest robot to get to the semi-finals.
Yeah, although it's a lot better than Blade and Trident, but it's not saying much. Of course, it's Mousetrap, aka the Mousetrap. I still don't know which one it's supposed to be. They switch between the two, but
Team Ivanhoe. No, it's not. It's
Team Triterabot.
Team Triterabot.
And then obviously later on, Black and Blue in Series 7, a little clusterbot. But
yes. But oh god, Mousetrap. It's the thing about Mousetrap is it's actually as a design wise, it's pretty good actually.
It's unique.
Yeah, a big wedge. It's not really an axe. It's more. Couldn't really. What do you call it? Like a slammer, a grabber? It's not really. I don't know what you call it.
Like
kind of a weird like swinging bar setup.
Yeah, I mean in Series 5 they actually put a blade on it, so it actually has some damage.
Guillotine is what they call it in Series 5.
It pretty much is like an execution thing. It actually has. It does have some. It has at least some degree of doing something, but here it's just a grabber, and then it would have worked better in Series 5 where you had the pit button, while opposed to Series 4 where you could just grab the robot and then
you have to wait.
You have to wait for like a minute and a half before it starts. The pit lowers automatically, and well here, this version of Mousetrap, again, its biggest problem, it seemed to have constant bouts of just breaking, like it would stop. And then, I mean, in some things battle, it stopped like 3 times, and you thought it was a mobile arm, and it just moved a little bit. And
it keeps having a problem. I think it's just the electrical systems. It just keeps overloading itself.
It has a massive problem with electronics. And also, I will say that, I mean, you mentioned it in the heat also, but it used to be an office desk, and you can tell. I mean, the top of it is just wood. And
this is one of those robots that you can tell that they found an object somewhere and then decided to build a robot based on that object rather than the other way around.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. With Mousetrap, did they come up with a name first or the design first? That's what I've always wondered. Because I think Mousetrap's definitely a robot they came up with for the name first. Like, ooh, let's make a robot like out of a mousetrap. Okay, so how are we going to do that?
Have you got an old office desk? Yep.
Yes.
Make it out of that. But in fairness, considering it's the worst, relatively speaking, the worst semi-finalist of Series 4, it's still rather unique compared to something like, well, in a good way. It's not like Trident with a weird 3-wheel setup that made no sense whatsoever. It actually has a purpose, at least, the robot.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, it's better in Series 5, but it's just unlucky who it go against. But obviously we can't spoil things because Mike's here, obviously. But for now. Well, yeah.
You did just say it's unlucky, so it's kind of like saying, "Oh no, Mousetrap becomes Series 5 champion. It takes out Chaos 2 and Razor at the same time
in one go."
Well, I mean that's less of a spoiler than I guess telling me the real outcome.
Yeah,
that's true. But
the thing I like about Mousetrap is by Series 3 standards, it's actually a pretty decent robot, kind of middle of the pack.
Unfortunately, we're in
This is
Series 4.
4.
Yeah, but everybody gets their ideas from the previous series, so.
Yeah.
Also, I need to mention. I don't know if he would ever be listening to us, but if JP is randomly hearing this, the spring on the mousetrap isn't actually the spring that controls it. It's just a decoration. He does not seem to understand. Like, the amount of times you say, "Oh, well, little firestone will get caught in the spring." As, "Oh, it might stop the weapon." No, it is just a bit of rubber they just attached around the little axle bit. It has nothing to do with the.
It is a piece. It is basically it is a spring.
But
it has nothing to do with the weaponry.
No, you can see the chains on the little trap mechanism where the actual mechanism is. It is just a little decoration to make it look more like a mousetrap than it is. But
see, the whole time I thought it was or at least until that I saw later in the heat when you get some decent close-ups, I thought it was an air hose from like an air compressor that they were running across, and I'm like, why would they run their pneumatics across the top of the robot? That doesn't make sense.
Actually, thinking about it, this robot's kind of really the first robot to kind of use like the sort of like gear chain axe mechanism, if you know what I mean. Like some robots like Thor and Terahertz use, where they have a piston that fires and it runs against the cog, which fires the axe forward.
Actually, I think
Mousetrap's kind of the first kind of robot to really do that.
The first robot, I believe, was actually Excalibur in Series 3. Has a little gear on it as well. You actually can see it on the axe quite clearly. I just remember.
I thought Excalibur was electric powered.
Was it electric powered? I don't know. It doesn't make a difference either way because Excalibur didn't do well, so who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, I don't hate Mousetrap whatsoever. It's just, again, it was kind of the only heat it could get through in. Honestly.
Yeah. Oh God, dear God! Imagine if this was put in with Hypnodisc.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I mean, yes, it's got a good wedge on it, but again, it's made out of a desk.
Thank goodness this was in semi-final A and not semi-final B.
No, it wasn't semi-final B.
Oh, was it in B? Oh, I see. I forget everything. I forgot Stinger.
It went up against Stinger.
Oh yeah, Stinger. I always think Stinger's in the first one for some reason. I have no idea why. It's late. Well, it's not that late, but it's late enough for me. And then of course we have the runner-up of this heat, which you can tell by the noise that Alex just made. He absolutely loves this robot to death. It's his favorite robot of all time. Every robot he thinks he likes, he doesn't like actually, because his favorite will always be Little Fly. Little Fly.
Right.
I'm just gonna say this one was terrible.
Jesus Christ, this robot. This is a robot that didn't really win any of its fights.
No, it didn't win any fight. As far as I'm aware, it did not win any. It might have got to the heat final, but
it got through. But it didn't. It didn't win through its own ability.
Like Napalm did in Series 3.
Yeah, basically. But this was Series 3. Little Fly would probably lose a heat in Series 1. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because this thing is just, it's so shit.
Actually, one thing off the bat, just looking at a picture of it, is the really stupid fact they got the tubes and stuff sticking on the outside of it that go to the weapon. They're so exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally on the outside of the robot. Any kind of saw, axe, spike, anything could have easily got hold of it.
It's made out of scrap.
Yeah. Just
looking at it, it's clearly made out of scrap. The weapon is a lawnmower, which they pretty much clearly just took out the lawnmower and just put it on, because the thing, if it hits something, the robot, it has no weight to carry it through, so it just kind of pushes it. It hits it and then it goes back a little bit on itself. It's got pneumatic tires, which I think puncture in every single fight.
Yeah.
And it can only do 4 miles an hour. In Series 4, like in Series 2, robots, the slowest robot was the Demon.
Demon and Flirty Skirt both went 2 miles an hour.
Yeah. Series 1, Series 2, fine. Technology wasn't there yet. Series 3, it's slow, but it's not too. There's plenty of slow robots in here. Series 4, this is unacceptably slow.
Yep. This thing.
This.
Do you feel better now, Alex?
This thing it just annoys me, and the main thing, it's also got the one thing about a robot that annoys me more than anything. It's got a team that generally thinks they're going to win with it.
that's always the overconfidence is always the worst in Robot
Can I
Wars.
just comment on its armor for a second, guys? Did it ever get repaired during the entire heat? Because it got thrashed.
No, there was a hole right in the back of it during the heat final. There's a gash just in the back of it, and I don't think they repaired
Yeah,
anything.
like the front of it got beat up, the sides of it got beat up, the back got beat up, and I did not see any attempt to repair it during the whole episode.
Honestly, in its first fight, it already looked like it got beaten up.
Yeah, I really wish Weldor's flipper was actually working, because I mean the amount of ground it has 5 centimeters of ground clearance. Anything could get underneath this thing and just toss it over. But it was just unfortunate. It was it wasn't in the battle with Evil Weevil, and Weldor's weapon wasn't working.
I mean, goddammit, Weldor was armored with what? Polycarb, plastic, something like that.
Yeah.
Something that a blade should easily go through.
It got caught once, I think, and that was it.
Stuck. It got it stuck in it.
Jesus, little flying. And as
I'm so glad this was a team that never came back.
Actually, you mentioned also when we were talking about in the qualifiers, and its amazing battle that was, I presume it was amazing against Millennium Bug. It actually looked better because it was painted black and the blade was like a yellow and red color, and it actually looked kind of a bit like stealth almost in design. But here it's just this weird. Obviously, I mean the fact it's not painted properly, emphasizes the scrap look to it, and it just.
Why is it called Little Fly? That's the biggest mystery about it. Why is it called Little Fly?
Well, again, as I mentioned, it's named after their horse, and I don't know what the horse has got to do with the lawnmower blade and scrap.
Must be one shit horse.
It just keeps winning, though. That's its problem.
It just keeps on. Mysteriously, all the horse's legs break every race it's in.
Yeah, it may only have 1 leg and 3 wheels, but god damn it wins the derby.
Yeah.
So a mysterious fog just rolled in, and we can't see anything, but I assume it was Little Fly that won.
Just presume every time it won.
Dear God, I was like, this is a team. This is the most first time robot out of any team that's in Robot Wars in Series 4, I think.
First and last.
Yeah, like this is clearly their first ever build,
and
their first ever robot, and their last, and it just very clearly shows.
I mean, it's sad when something like Banshee looks better than this, and that thing moves like a snail, and that thing somehow is like way more, way better designed. Just it looks.
Banshee is quicker than Little Fly.
Banshee
can go 5 miles an hour.
It does not feel it feels slower, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least Banshee has like a nice looking design. Again, you'll never forget what Banshee looks like. I will always forget what Little Fly looks like. So. Yeah.
It has a light on it for some reason as well. Like, there's just so many things. Like, why was there a light on this?
Is there? Where at?
Yeah, there's a light on it.
Where?
You see that little hoop thing, or that little like arch thing that's at the front of it?
That's a light.
That's where the light is. Yeah.
Why does it even have a light?
Was it? I think Mike said it in his live review of it. He said we have a light to tell us if the weapon's on.
Oh.
I think if it's a blade, you can know it's on.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you're losing fingers, it's definitely on. But yeah, Little Fly sucks. In conclusion, I guess that's what we've learned
If
today.
if this was in any other heat, it would have been out in the first round.
Oh, definitely. But unfortunately, it was in. It just kept getting really lucky for no reason, and then eventually in heat final it caught up to it. And then of course, one of the losers, probably my favourite of the 2 losers, honestly, just how much personality the robot has, is Something. I love this robot again. I mean, I love Dig. Come on.
The only time Something will ever get to round 2 of anything.
Hey, spoilers for Series 5. Come on. But it doesn't matter. It's not like Something's a big winner anyway. But I mean, in fairness, this version of Something did last more than what was it, like less than 2 seconds? The previous one lasted in Series 3.
Yeah, it was like 1.7.
Jesus.
I think Something holds the record for the fastest self-immobilization.
Yeah, it ran forwards and it died after hitting Pitbull. But this version actually worked for the most part all the way through.
Until it didn't.
Yeah, until it killed itself again. This time in a more humiliating fashion than the last one. But here it was just. I love Dig. I love that kind of idea where we don't really care if the robot's great or not. I'm just going to build this robot that has lots of personality. It looks like it's made out of scrap. Looks
something out of a Mad Max movie and give it like a. It's what he says like I built this super low tech robot to fight the high tech robot, the high tech future.
Yeah, and it worked out so well for him. But you know, God damn it, I still don't care. I love its aesthetic. I've always been a fan of robots that look like they come out of a scrapyard or have some kind of really low tech look to them, like a kind of look, or some of the kind of like machine qualities, and like I saw like the aesthetic of the Series 9 Sabretooth with the little
Or
exhausts,
like Tetanus 2.
yeah, or Sting 2 in a way.
Yeah.
I like that kind of look. It looks like a kind of Predator type thing. Hell, and even even the Predator in in the last heat of the series, I do like the look of it. And it's just one of those, these kind of robots that are so low tech looking, but they're very endearing. Plus, also Dig's really likable, so it really makes this robot stand out.
Dig knows his place. Like
Yeah.
he knows if I'm gonna win, I'm gonna be the luckiest guy in the world if I win a fight.
He doesn't care if he loses though. He just comes back
Yeah.
with his robot, pretty much almost unchanged half the time looking, and just goes, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna keep rolling and keep seeing how I do.
Yeah. The only reason he wasn't in Series 7 was because of the active weapon rule.
Actually, I think he's very underrated, Dig, in terms of like robot. Like fun roboteers. A lot of people don't really remember the Something team as much, and he makes up for it. He really does.
Something is still around. Like there's video of it. I think there's video of it being driven around in 2000 this year.
Really?
Yeah, like it was a museum piece somewhere, and then they just gave it a service basically, and it works.
That's great.
I remember seeing Dig pop up in a comment section somewhere online talking about the robot. So, yeah, it's around somewhere.
I mean, what do you think of the Something robots, Mike?
Aesthetically, it's great. You pretty much already said everything I was going to say about it. The thing that confused me was their whole low tech character that they tried to play with it, because most of the robots to this point were composed of batteries, speed controllers, and a radio system, and then a couple of motors. And surely there's no way that Something could have operated without the same things.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm kind of like, you're using the same technology to fight on the side of low technology. I don't understand why.
Something is more technologically advanced than Little Fly.
Yeah, I'd probably go as far and say that true, because at least it knows what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Little Fly still has no idea what it's doing, but enough ranting on Little Fly. We get plenty of times to do that in the heat, of course. All I say is I just love Something and all the Something robots. Even if the later versions did eerily look a bit too much like the Master with a saw. But what are you gonna do?
The Series 7 version was basically the Series 4 version. They just made a bigger axe for it.
I still would love to see that happen though.
Yeah.
But oh well.
It's Something's one of those robots. Something's one of those robots. Like it's not the best robot. It's not the greatest robot, but you're just happy to see it.
Also, it's just the perfect name as well. Something.
It's made out of Sump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally just Something.
I was so waiting for you guys, because every heat somebody says this robot it's this robot, and I was so waiting to hear Something is something.
Yeah.
Yep, Something is certainly something. And then, of course, we have the future driver of Carbide on this team with Tiberius. I think probably could have won this heat, honestly, if it hadn't been for one particular thing that happened to it in the second round. Damn you, Little
Man
Fly,
that
once
never
again.
smiles.
Yeah, the man never smiles, but in fairness, I think he keeps it all inside. Tiberius, going from Series 4 to the eventual look of the Series 5 and onwards, basically the massive crusher they gain later, it is so weird seeing the Series 4 version, which is just like a spike and nothing else. I don't remember the spike really doing anything in this heat at all, apart from maybe at one point getting Mousetrap, but not really doing anything to it.
Yeah, I think it made like one tiny hole in Mousetrap before Refbot stuck his nose in the matter.
Yeah,
It's funny to think from this to Photon Storm is where this robot's evolution goes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. I love the Tiberius robots, particularly the Series 7 version. That one did really well, but this version of Tiberius, you can tell it's obviously it's the obvious first robot thing. it's very similar to sort of like I guess sort of like Tornado, which is just a box with no extra features, and it went from a box with with really good pushing power to a robot with really good pushing power and like interchangeable weapons and stuff and all that stuff. But this version of Tiberius is definitely the first try. But actually, even in this series, particularly in the little fly battle, you can see where how good Sam Smith the driver was. I mean, he was very domineering in the little fly battle.
I'm gonna say, like, Tiberius is the second best crusher in Robot Wars.
Well,
obviously we all know what the best crusher in Robot Wars is, but Tiberius is definitely second best.
Yeah.
I would even say that the Series 4 version of Tiberius is a pretty decent robot. I mean, but even by Series 4 standards, it had good pushing power. It was a really effective wedge. It was super well driven and controlled. It just broke down. It was its only weakness.
It was also quite fast as well. Like, it wasn't really that slow either. I mean, you see this robot, you don't think it's that fast, but it was like 8 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, something like that. So it was actually, it had decent speed. It just, again, suffered from a fault in the end, which...
Basically, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Tiberius, it's my favorite robot of this heat, honestly.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, it had the most potential as well.
Yeah. Like, that's the robot you look at. That's when you look at all the robots in this heat, you would think that's the one that's going to win it.
Ah, bullshit. Of course, because things happen that way. Yeah. And then, speaking of things happening that way, we get to the 2 seeds, which I never thought I'd say in a heat, but this is the only heat where both seeds go out in the first round, and we'll start with the one that shouldn't have gone out, but did. Evil Weevil 2. Seriously, Mousetrap would have gone out.
Speaking of robots you're supposed to look at and say this one is going to win.
Well, on paper, this robot really should have been at least a heat finalist, but I mean, as I mentioned before, I'm not gonna say the same things again, but briefly, I do think this robot is definitely a downgrade to the Series 3 version. Just both aesthetically and the fact the spikes have reduced the amount. They made the spikes wider off. There's less spikes, and the axe is there just wasting space in the technology. Where they could have done, they could have made the forks better. Instead, they just made this stupid axe on it.
And the problem with it, I'm just looking at the problem with the axe is also I've just realised is because Evil Weevil is this version of Evil Weevil is very short. The axe is far too close for it to be really any kind of effective because the axe. Because the robot's it's so far forward and so short, it's most likely that the shaft is going to hit the robot before the axe head does. so the shaft for an axe spot like as short as that, the axe like the pivot for the axe has to be more like in the middle. Also, raise up higher.
I think Kevin Pritchard used up all his luck in Series 2 with Panic Attack.
Yeah.
I swear, because I mean, like Series 3 comes with Evil Weevil. Pretty much got the easiest run out of all semi-finalists in Series 3, even arguably better than Blade and Trident. And then Series 4 doesn't charge the batteries right, and then Series 7 he gets control of Panic Attack, and he can't drive it. He can't drive it very well.
I just love the idea of like Kevin's going to go to Kim. He's like, well, it's great we won Series 2. Wouldn't it'd be great if I'm thinking about just breaking off and making my own team. Make my own robot, make my own completely original thing.
Oh, it's pretty much
sure.
It's just Panic Attack
you've
again.
Got the blueprints for Panic Attack lying around. Go and borrow them for a second.
That's probably why Evil Weevil, the original one, was actually better than this one, because this is their first attempt at making a new robot. And like,
I think Evil Weevil 2 is the first Evil Weevil, just with a new shell and just some upgrades in the innards.
Shane, the shell is worse.
Because if you actually look when it gets flipped over, if you know, it's like Evil Weevil 2 is 2-wheel drive, and the first Evil Weevil, I believe, was 4-wheel drive or 6.
I think it was 6-wheel drive actually, the original Evil Weevil.
But if you actually notice when they've turned it upside over, there's like these little squares of where the wheels used to be, where they just basically quickly welded on a piece of metal over where the wheel holes used to be.
Bloody hell. It's a botch job. I'd also actually, speaking of that stupid axe, actually at one point, when I was rewatching The Heat just about an hour ago, just to get the battles and stuff, I noticed that the axe it's got a weird. It does a similar thing to what Sergeant Meekles does, where it doesn't actually. If an axe doesn't move in one solid motion, it's going to have no impact. And it actually did a thing where it kind of moved up a bit, stopped, moved a little bit back, and then moved forwards. And it's just there's no energy on the axe whatsoever either.
It's powered by a soda stream bowl.
Well, there we go. That's the reason why it's not very good. You know, CO2, nah. Soda streams, that's where it's at.
That's the real power.
Yeah.
The stuff that you make fizzy drinks out of. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Joe, I'm so glad things like windscreen wiper motors and soda stream bottles went out of it. I mean, that's what Behemoth's scoop in Series 2 was powered by. That's how bad it was.
That's what Maverick's lifter was powered by.
That's probably why I never lifted anything.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I mean, yeah, in this version of Weevil, I'm kind of glad it didn't get past the first round because, my god, I don't even enjoy looking at it. Because didn't you say the colour's Jewish gold?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's called Jewish gold.
It's a horrible colour. You know, I mean, just compares to the original Evil with how nice the sleek black, and here it's just sort of
The first Evil Weevil actually looked like an insect.
It actually looks like it's melted slightly as well, just because of the paint scheme. It looks flatter somehow.
Yes, but they also removed their Achilles heel was removing the oh so important Velcro that jams up chainsaws.
Oh, it jammed up Hypnodisc Disco, right, didn't it? I mean, look at that. I mean, Hypnodisc broke after hitting that the first time.
Well, actually, it did because the disc didn't work in 101.
Yeah. Jesus. I mean, yeah. I mean, any thoughts on Evil Weevil, Mike?
No. It was there, then it wasn't.
It's Evil Weevil.
And you never see it again because Mike Pritchard eventually just goes, I'm just going to go back on Panic Attack and hope nobody notices.
Yeah, 60 joins Panic Attack again, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he did the, like, you know, imagine Craig turning up to him and going, did you have your own robot once? No, I never existed. But when you were semi-finalist, no, you were the highest seed to go out, weren't you? No, I'm just blocking out.
Did you get the charge of batteries? No.
Oh,
batteries? What are those?
I bet you Kim Davis kept all the batteries to himself and never let him touch them. Like, is this charged? Yeah, I don't believe you.
Yeah, in Series 7, Kim was part of the production team, joined the production teams. Well, I just imagine when it was Panic Attack's heat, he just kept on going back to the pit, saying like, "Okay, what have you done?"
Yeah, he's fixing the robot at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, Evil 2 sucks. I mean, the original Evil wasn't great, but at least it looked okay and had some kind of personality. But this one's just,
Yeah.
and it's a botched job clearly by the fact they've welded wheel holes over. So no wonder it lost. Jesus, it wouldn't even survive if it did get through. And then of course we have the other, I guess, disappointing seed. I don't know. It's not really they had high expectations.
I forget this. This is the most forgetful seed, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, it is Weldor 2.
Now hyphenated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because the hyphen made all the difference. But I remember...
Well, that's so you can separate the two Ds. It's Weldor.
Weldor. But actually, Mike, I don't know if it was in the podcast or not, but you mentioned when a while ago we were talking about like forgettable robots, and you forgot about Weldor 2 when we were doing the preview.
I forgot about Weldor 1. Like, they're just the most forgettable robot team for me. I don't know why.
I'm gonna say though, with Weldor, I think this is a downgrade. Honestly, this one, Weldor, the first Weldor was, I mean, basically, if you put Centurion and Weldor together, they're pretty much exactly the same. But yeah, Weldor 2 is it's such a downgrade.
Actually, I know this is really random, but the original Weldor cost £1,800. How? I still don't get that.
Paint jobs cost money.
Hey, I think that's why they ditched the camo look.
That's why it went see-through this year, no paint at all.
Or eventually Weldor 3, which is pretty much just a massive wedge with a flipper on one bit and like a spinning bar axe on the back. They appeared in Series 6?
Extreme 2 and 7.
Yeah, no, it was 6 in Extreme 2. They didn't appear in Series 7.
Alright.
But yeah, it lasted as long as you expected. I mean,
take a year off to build Weldor 3.
I mean, Series 3 is the only series it won a fight in. So, take that for what it's will. But they went back to the camo look, and maybe they thought it'd bring it a better look, but it didn't. And this version of Weldor, I don't understand the weapon setup. Like they thought to themselves, we have to have a flipper and an axe again. But rather than
enough though, it's actually what Iron Ore became.
Yeah.
Iron Ore became a flipper and axe system.
I think Iron Ore pulled it off better though. I mean,
because it was a rear hinged flipper and not a front hinged flipper.
Yeah, it just looks really awkward. Like it looks like the axe would get in the way of the flipper, and I mean neither weapon worked in the battles, so.
Like it honestly looks like if they accidentally fired the front hinge flipper and the axe at the same time, the axe might actually hit the weapon.
Yeah, it just looks really awkward. Like I think I mean, unlike Centurion, which at least kept both the weapons but kept them in the same place, here they just thought, we'll just move it around the front, and hopefully the axe will be more damaging. I mean, the axe at least looks more damaging this time, but it's still...
They never fired a bloody weapon in the entire fight.
I don't think it was even working. I mean, they would have... Let's face it, if you had an opportunity to flip over a little fly, you would.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'd be trying to... That'd be the first thing I'd try to do in the fight. But... Weldor 2 is so boring. I mean, the whole Weldor
only thing
line...
about it also is just looking at the back of it. It has the mile of ground clearance it has.
It's like Cassius in Series 2, where it would like lift its thing up, and you're like, why are you doing that? You got all the ground clearance now.
But this one wasn't adjustable.
No. I mean, actually...
It was like that on purpose.
Jesus. I mean, you know, although in fairness though, I did say that Series 3 is the only series that wins a fight in. It won fights against the Iron Mask and Prometheus. Is that really something you want to, shout about? I guess my answer is no, quite clearly.
It's a robot that's still... Yeah, sorry, you were saying, Mike?
Oh, I don't have anything to say about Weldor. I just totally forgot it exists as all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a robot that's still got the 101 curse affecting it.
Yeah.
Because
I'm just going to stop talking about it. Let's talk about the battles. And the first battle, nothing happens in it, because Evil Weevil dies.
Dies immediately.
Yeah, it pretty much just does a few twirls, gets his axe hitting once, the forks don't move, and then it just dies next to the wall. And I have to say, the only picture of it on the wiki, the only picture of this whole battle in the wiki, is a picture of Evil Weevil just dead next to the wall, and look how pathetic it looks. It looks so rubbish, just sat there.
That's the thing. That's the worst thing about having a dead robot. It's like, if the robot's dead, like if your robot looks like Eruption after it fought Carbide and it's that dead, that's the one you're like, yeah, there's a reason why it's dead. Like Evil Weevil wasn't even... I don't think it even didn't even touch another robot before it died.
This is like what happens in Series 5. Also, a lot of the shit robots in the first round, they'll bump into a few robots and then just stop. And... Oh, I mean, it was just as bad as Centurion, wasn't it? After like one flip, and then again that just went as well.
Yeah, but Centurion had an excuse. Their pin went up. Their safety, their removable link basically broke.
Oh yeah.
Evil Weevil's excuse is their own doing.
Yes, because they forgot to charge their batteries. Well done, Kevin Pritchard. Well done.
I think Kevin Pritchard's probably becoming the joke of the worst roboteer on Robot Wars.
Joe, it's funny. It's sad when the guys at Team Death seem more competent than you, because all their robots worked, at least, and all of them didn't have a really faulty battery, did they? I mean, I know, and it seems like I've got a vendetta against this guy. I just don't. But like, the more I think about it, the more rubbish his career.
Bad he is.
I mean, he won the. Let's face it. Let's we forget. In Series 3, he won the football tournament by not potting a single ball. How do you do that? How do you enter a tournament and not get a single point and win?
The football tournament kind of proved how just a terrible driver he is as well.
He just bashed into the wall, bashed into Matilda, bashed into the ball. Not actually... Oh, the most pathetic one, wasn't that one bit where Matilda was in the way of the goal? Ilviol just ran into Matilda and just pushed the ball further away.
Oh, no, when Matilda moved it away from the back wall to get it more closer into play, Evil Weevil just reversed and pushed it all the way back to the back again.
No, I mean, Evil Weevil, Mike. I mean, there's no point even talking about what happened to Mousetrap and Tiberius.
The only other thing that happened in there, he was in that fight was Tiberius got a good hold of Mousetrap and actually punctured it off his desk. But apart from that, nothing else happened.
Actually, I don't think it even punctured it. I think it just made like a little dent.
No, it did puncture it, but it also bent it.
It did puncture. It was so slow. It felt like it took the entire fight for it to come down on Mousetrap. Like the only thing that helped that happen was that Mousetrap was totally off the ground on Tiberius's wedge.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have clearly edited it down because the whole rule in Robot Wars, I think, is 30 seconds. Yeah, you can hold on to a robot or pin it against the wall. That's the rule, and you can clearly tell that was edited because Jesus Christ, like if Refbot has to come in and your spike is just getting through it, like.
Actually, there was one funny bit in this battle where Mousetrap got caught on Refbot, and Refbot's trying to shake it off. Like you started this Refbot.
It's funny because it's like the most that Refbot has done in the whole series.
Yeah, Refbot actually mostly got in the way half the time. Like you get a robot stuck on it, and then he'll sometimes he'll drive into the pit occasionally. Just I don't know what Refbot is doing.
Refbot was clearly Refbot. I mean, we're talking about Refbot more than the fight now, but it's like Refbot's clearly a robot. They built it and then realized, wait, what do we do with this?
I mean, thank goodness in Extreme 1 onwards they gave him a countdown clock.
And a yellow and red card system.
Yeah, that was so useful. But at least he had the countdown.
You got to tell off house robots.
Yeah, I did it a couple of times. I mean, at least the countdown clock was so much more useful. But yeah, this fight, yeah, it wasn't a fight. It was just a few robots bumping into each other and one puncture. All right.
Yeah.
And then at least the next battle lasted longer, but it wasn't any more better. Yeah, Weldor 2 something and Little Fly. I mean...
And I'm going to call bullshit on this because Little Fly clearly died before Weldor did.
It was barely moving. Actually, it moves that slow. I couldn't tell when it was working and when it wasn't. That's how bad Little Fly was. I mean, Something was definitely the best robot in this battle, and that's kind of sad.
That's saying something.
When Something is the best robot in a battle. I mean, again, I love Something, but it's not very effectual. You know, and that's the best. It's like if Robo Chicken was the best robot in its battle in this series. Yeah. It would be just something I could never understand. And
I mean, it's something I didn't notice until Mike pointed out in his live review, is that Something managed to bend its own axe in this fight.
Jesus. How?
It's not a very strong axe either.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the time when it hit, it doesn't even hit anything. It just kind of hits the air next to the robot. As opposed
it twisted it to the left, so it's like, how did it do that? This was a fight where all three robots basically just kept going until the batteries ran out.
Well, yeah, and actually, I forget, what actually did Something do to Weldor to break it down in the end?
I don't know what it got a good axe. Sorry.
I'm not sure it did anything because it hit the gap where the where Weldor's axe is, but it looked like it hit the bar itself or the mount for it. It didn't look like it hit anything important.
Oh, right.
Weldor just died, and I don't think it was a little fly that hit it that got anything that did anything to it. But yeah, I mean, but when you see at the end of the battle, like basically Something and Little Fly are just basically crawling across the arena because they are that low on power and dead. It's just, and the only thing that really interesting happens in this fight is Killop basically grabs a hold of Weldor, spins him around, and that's it. Mind
you, a death spin from Sir Killop is always fun to watch. And I was just consulting the wiki while you were talking then, and I'm not... Alright, Alex, you might want to just...
Are you going to say Little Fly gets the KO?
Yeah. It severed a battery cable with its lawnmower blade.
That was more
All
luck
right,
than
can
skill.
I just talk about how terrible... Like, we know that a lot of polycarb was used for armor back in the day, but when a robot's weapon is so terrible that it bounces off of things that it hits and it still gets through Weldor's armor...
Yeah. Yeah, because it was thought to be Something, because Something was the last robot to touch it when it died. But it severed the cable, and it was basically had a time limit, in other words, before it went. And Weldor just happened to die when Something hit it, so therefore everyone thought Something did it. Because it made more sense because Something got more into it than Little Fly did. But yeah,
Little Fly was barely moving anyway.
Yeah, actually, Little Fly was stuck on one side. It was not moving for half the battle. It was spinning in circles most of the time. So I still don't know whether it should be really counted out in the first place, really, as opposed to,
there was a good full minute that Little Fly was just not doing anything, not moving. It was just a background object.
Actually, there was one funny bit that made me laugh, where Little Fly's near one of the CPZs, just sort of twitching, and the other two robots were actually fighting, and it's like you just forgot the opponents have forgotten that Little Fly's in the battle.
It's like when John on Vacation, he says when he cuts through a robot that's that's barely moving, he says, "Oh no, that robot's perfect. That robot's okay." He's like, "No, John, it clearly isn't." Oh,
he's so observant, JP. He really is. But because Little Fly killed Weldor, apparently, they've actually got a KO under their hands. Keep that in mind. Little Fly actually has a KO under its hands. But yeah, they go through with Something, and also we have...
I mean, technically so does Mechadon, but...
Sabretooth doesn't have a KO, technically.
Does it not?
No, Sabretooth didn't... Shunt killed Terahertz, and I believe the Arena Spikes killed Thwack.
Oh yeah, so no, not even...
Sabretooth doesn't have a KO to its name.
Wow, that's kind of sad, really. Oh, Jesus. But obviously, of course, we have the side event, which was the pinball with Banshee, which we'll see next heat, and believe me, it does really well. It almost wins the heat. But
This is probably the highlight of the episode, mostly because of Jonathan just laughing at it.
yeah, any time today, he kept saying.
He goes, he basically goes, okay, 5 points down. Okay, in your own time, boys.
It was like watching a really, really slow motion pinball. Like it was like I felt like I was watching it at half the speed, but this is the normal speed it's going at. It just went slowly into the barrels. Sergeant Bash just gave it the 50-point target. He couldn't be bothered fighting it.
I love that the house robots just got out of its way and they're like, okay, let's see how much you can actually get.
And then they got the multi-ball, and I think that's all it got.
Well, how long does the pinball last for? What is it?
I think
45-second run, or is it like a minute run?
I think they get a full minute. 'Cause I think the sumo is a full minute. I think it's the same thing with pinball. So
but
after a minute,
yeah, but it's like in the space of a minute, basically Banshee managed to get from one half of the arena to the other half.
still did better than Spikosaurus though.
Yeah.
At 75. So okay, but yeah, this was a very, very boring run. But at least the head didn't get destroyed. And as we know, that head.
No.
That head was
saving it.
You were saving it for like. Actually, I just realised. I know it's too early for the preview, but I realised technically 2 heads get destroyed in that heat.
Yep.
And that's me. I mean, again, his vendetta continues. But yeah, it was a very uneventful pinball. But again, you saying it's the highlight, it's the saddest thing to agree with that. It really is. Banshee's pinball was the best thing in this fight. It wasn't even like.
It was just because of Jonathan Pierce more than anything else. Like, when Jonathan Pierce can't really think of anything funny to say is when you're like, this is a bad episode.
It really is, and it's saved for a side event that doesn't even matter in the long run, and it's Banshee, for God's sake. But, yeah, okay, they got 75 points, that's cool, I guess, I don't know. And then of course, it goes to the battles. First off, we have Tiberius against Little Fly. And you might have noticed, as I said before earlier in this heat, each round has a theme. I forgot to mention, the round 1 theme was the seeds losing. The second round theme was the better robot being beaten by the shit robot, not because they were more skilled, but because they randomly broke down or something happened to them.
Both of these fights are the robot that lost completely dominating the fight until one moment.
Yeah, and in the case of Tiberius's, it was one of the wheels stopping, and they were stuck in like a little circle. And do you understand something about it as well? It was actually Tiberius that caused it to break itself.
Yeah, it ran into the wall, didn't it?
Yeah. It grabbed hold of the little fly, and it rammed into the wall to slam into the wall, and then they just stopped for ages. And originally thought they were pinned underneath them. Then the little fly was removed. And then they couldn't move for ages. You could see one of the wheels frantically spinning. And at first I thought, oh, it's stuck in forward drive, or it's stuck. And then they moved it, and it just started spinning in circles, and you're like, one side is not working. And damn it!
God, just like that, the best robot in the heat.
God fucking damn it! I mean, obviously, one thing had to happen in both these in the second round battles, and you know. Of all the ways to die, it's so pathetic seeing Tiberius just spinning in a circle and unable to do anything.
Little Fly is a robot I wish got destroyed, and it didn't. It got away with it as well. That's the problem. It got away with its shitness.
It did as well, because Little Fly just kind of hobbled away, and you didn't see it for the rest of the entire battle whilst the kill lot and all that just attacked it. And we've got a nice little, pitting and all that. But actually, I love that Tiberius could barely fit in the pit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the pit actually grows in size a little bit next series, but yeah, I don't get why the pit is usually just it's so narrow. I don't get it.
Actually, I don't think it increases. I just think some of the robots just get slightly less bulky because the technology they get more compact because of the technology.
Yeah.
I mean, Tiberius has got a lot of empty space in it, so I'm not surprised it's massive. But yeah, I mean, this fight was mostly just Tiberius dominating, and then one mistake happens, and then God fucking damn it!
You were the chosen one.
I think that's my phrase for this heat. God fucking damn it! Every battle has something annoying in it.
Yeah.
Evil not charging the batteries, Weldor just breaking because of Little Fly severing a battery cable, and then Tiberius getting stuck on one side. Oh, this heat. I mean, it's almost as bad as Heat C if it wasn't the fact that Heat C had better robots to make it even more disappointing. I think that's the biggest sin. Heat K has worse robots and is bad, but Heat C has better robots and is just as bad, which makes it worse.
It's not that it has worse robots, it's that the worst robots keep getting through.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Napalm's run in Series 3. That kind of frustration. At least, unfortunately, unlike Napalm's run, there's no Stegosaurus to whack it into the wall in the end. You just get constant disappointment. Apart from the heat final, maybe, which is the closest you get to redemption.
But it's not really much. Again, not much. That's the problem with this heat as well. Is like these are just fights when not much happens.
Yeah, nothing really happened.
The most frustrating thing for me about it is that the robot that won this fight, its biggest accomplishment in it was getting slammed into the wall. That's the most that Little Fly did.
It was very passive in its highlights.
Break your fist on my face technique.
Oh, fuck me. And then, of course, we have Mousetrap against something. Arguably, at least they put more of a fight in.
This is technically the best fight in the episode.
Yes, because unlike Little Fly, Mousetrap actually did attack a couple of times. Actually, I loved the bit where Mousetrap caught the axe like Mr. Miyagi. Just caught it, but unlike the big cheese in Series 3, it couldn't really do anything with it, so it just let it go. And then then randomly at one point, again, it had that thing I mentioned before, where it just kind of started and then stopped, and then like, I can imagine the judges starting like, on their fingers going like 1, 2, God damn it, it's moving, 1. Waiting for the 30 seconds. I mean, if it was modern Robot Wars, it probably would have been out.
Yeah, probably the way the way the immobilization rule works is your robot has to show controlled movement to not be counted as immobilized.
And it clearly wasn't controlled.
Yeah, it was stopping and starting. It was like Spawn again in later series where it has the problem of it just stopping and starting.
It's worse in Series 6 though. Spawn again Series 6 is just pitiful. But yeah, I mean then of course the infamous moment happened. It was like Mousetrap was dying. And, weapon wasn't even working at that point. It was just kind of sat there almost...
Something backed up to have a big charge.
And at the last moment, Mousetrap moved ever so slightly, like it almost knew it was going to happen. It moved, it like twitched forwards. Something missed it, and the forks got caught underneath and pinned it to the floor. A la Invertebrat.
And kept the robot, the wheels from touching. Lifted the wheels ever so slightly off the ground so it couldn't move.
I mean, the gap between the wheels and the floor was so agonizingly small as well. Like, considering how big the wheels are, they still couldn't get traction on it. And oh man.
And yet again, like there's one good thing about something losing, which is a good thing, is like Killot is always good when he gets a hold of something. Like because something is just something's just so small. Killot can basically just break this robot in half if he wanted to.
It was worse in Series 3 where he got in the lance and just twisted it. He just like rips that robot in half in Series 3. Yeah. But God fucking damn it! Again, I mean, something could have been a heat finalist, which is, I mean, a Tiberius something fight might not have been the greatest thing.
Something could have been a semi-finalist, because there was no doubt it would have beaten Little Fly.
Yeah, or if Tiberius had won another fight, a Tiberius something fight would have been interesting. But, God, the desk won. The desk that was barely working.
It's like what Mike was saying with it was Wild Things Heat in Series 3. It was like you had Kilohertz and All Talk, but no, the heat final is Thing and Cerberus.
Well, at least Thing was good.
Yeah.
And Cerberus wasn't that bad in fairness, but here, I mean, again, Mousetrap, again, we said before, isn't that horrible, but it just didn't deserve to get into the heat final, let's face it.
What are your thoughts on this battle, Mike, if you have any?
It's basically the same thoughts I had for the previous fight. The highlight is the robot that won watching the other robot lose.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything to it. It just watched it lose on its own.
Although, I will say, it was a lot more spectacular way to lose than it was with Tiberius just running into the wall. Yeah,
like, at least both of these robots moved at a reasonable speed.
Yeah, it was definitely a better battle, but arguably the best battle in the heat, which is, again, saying something. But it's either that or the heat final. Again, that's saying something.
Again, this is what pisses me off about Little Fly. It gets away with its shitness because this fight goes to the judges.
Yeah, but in fairness, it didn't get to the semi-finals. Imagine if Little Fly was a semi-finalist.
I would have fought Stinger, or prayed if the draw was different, it would have gone with Hypnodisc.
Oh, I'd love to have seen Hypnodisc against it. I mean, it looks like its armor is worse than Splinter, so that would have been amazing.
By a wide margin worse than Splinter. Oh my god.
I mean, this fight was mostly just Mousetrap running into it, hitting it with a little bar, and then that was it. And
Little Fly didn't do anything. Basically, even when Mousetrap was dying at the end of the fight, Little Fly didn't do anything.
You know, a Heat final's really amazingly energetic when at the end of the battle, both robots aren't even facing each other. Fuck me.
A fight is great. The Heat final is great when both robots practically die on their own through no fault of the other.
Yeah.
God, yeah. What was this, Series 9?
Yeah. There was one point when Little Fly was in the CP. Actually, to its fair, there was a really good charge that Mousetrap did, probably the fastest ever moved. Where it ran into the CPZ, pushed Little Fly in, and Little Fly, look, it stopped for a second. I was so hoping, like, when I was younger, that it just stopped. Like, but it slow, and the House Robots didn't attack it. I was like, why didn't you attack it? It was right there.
Yeah, all the other robots that they do attack, and that they, like, completely take out of competition in the process. And the one time that they could actually do something useful by doing that.
No.
Robots that get taken out by the House Robots in this series, like Medusa 2000, they were working perfectly, got taken out by a House Robot. Hypnodisc was still mobile, got took out by Shunt. But no, Little Fly gets away. Little Fly is like, no, we don't want to upset the kid.
Actually, the funny thing is, even the Wiki doesn't even care. Like, literally, the last line of the Wiki for this fight, one of the last lines is, Little Fly went in for one last half-hearted drive. Like, even the Wiki's making fun of it. That's the Wiki, for God's sake, which is usually impartial. Fuck me. This is
I'd rather not.
Oh. But, yeah, Mousetrap won through quite an easy judge's decision, honestly.
Yeah, can't imagine I know Noel said that the worst fight he's ever watched is Mr. Speed Squared versus Foxic, but this has got to be in a running for it.
Yeah, if you have a chance to remember all these matches he's watched, I mean, obviously, Dark Destroyer and Sergeant Meekle, Caterkiller and Napalm.
Griffin and Daisy Chopper, but...
Oh, later on there's one in the semi-finals, which I'm not going to spoil, but...
Actually, don't they say that in the semi-finals? Like, the trade goes, the judges want me to tell you that is the worst fight they've ever watched.
It was a bad Series 5 semi-final fight, but... Yeah, and... Yeah, Mousetrap won, later to be completely, whacked by Stinger. Yay.
Yay.
And, yeah, that was Heat K. It is not okay. It is
no
the second worst heat in the series because, again, with all the robots in this heat, apart from maybe Tiberius and Push something, or maybe Weevil 2 was passable, but here the expectations is so low, honestly, that I'm not even surprised that this heat is like regarded as so shit. And again, Heat C is just more disappointing by the fact it's got things like Firestorm in it, and even Ming 2 is pretty decent, and Deertor and all that, and it accounts to nothing. This is just... A lot of them are pretty rubbish, so the Heat being rubbish is not as surprising, but it doesn't make it any less for shit. It's sort of like comparing Heat A and Heat L of Series 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like they're both very similar, but Heat A is just slightly more worse for me. But...
I thought Heat L you hated more than anything.
Oh, I got more annoyed at it was most of the sumo that pushed it with Heat L, but I think Heat A is just constantly throwing shit at you, like...
Yeah.
And it ends up with Napalm winning, unlike the one, although like in Heat L, where Hardvat was the best robot in the Heat, and they actually won. So...
Do we have to rejudge that fight?
Nope, never again.
No.
Well, I mean...
No... Oh yeah, that's gonna be on the list for the rejudging thing, I'm sure, in the future.
Napalm versus Demolition Demon. Whoa, strap on for a thrill ride there.
Yep. I'm just gonna say
that'll probably be right before Foxic versus Mr. Speed Squared.
Oh, that's April Fool's version. But flat out, this has got to be like a 1.5 out of 10 for me. I mean the points only come from something Tiberius.
Banshee.
Yeah, and that's literally where each half point comes from, and the rest of it is just nothing. What about you, Mike?
As a kid, if I saw this episode, and like back then, I only watched TV to vegetate. That was the only reason I watched TV. I could watch 7 hours of TV and not remember a single thing that I saw. But if I saw this heat as a kid, I would probably be in a coma to this day.
I mean, what was your original score on this heat again, Mike? I'm trying to remember. Was it like 1 or 2 probably?
2.
Was it a 2?
Yeah.
that probably explains a lot.
Tiberius, by Series 4 standards, is probably middle of the road, pretty decent. Mousetrap really reminds me of Roadblock in the sense that its biggest strength is it's just really big. But they didn't fight well, and every fight was so slow and boring the whole time.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Alex, you're 10. You're out of 10.
It's a 1. It would be a 0 if it wasn't for, like, it would be actually, yes, it is a 0. Because yeah, if Little Fly gets to a heat final, that's automatically a 0.
That's just a rule. It's in the rules when you start.
Yeah, and thankfully it's the only heat that fills that, condition.
Damn Little Fly.
Oh, I gave this a 3.
What?
Why did I give this a 3? What was I smoking?
Do you want to reverse it to a 2 then? Or even lower if you want.
2 would be the best bet.
Alright, fair enough. That's probably a good idea. But
that's the thing. This is the main thing about it. It's so boring. It's so boring, this episode.
Actually, at least the next 2 heats, both one about to preview here, L and M, start increasing back up again. I do think Heat L and M are still relatively boring. It's all in the same category as Heat I. Again, I don't hate them, and there are moments I like in it, and some of the robots are actually quite interesting, but I don't remember a lot from it. And then Heat N just hits you with all the great robots. Hell, I even love the Millennium Bug, and I don't even care. Just throw them all in there, and then Panic Attack's Heat is really great, and then Hypnodisc Heat is a little bit average, but at least you have Hypnodisc in it, and then semi-finals are really great, and the grand final and stuff, and it definitely picks back up again. But at least we've got Heat J out of the way.
We're out of the slog.
Yeah, now we're starting to slightly improve again. Now we're getting to more the 5 and 6 category again, which is at least tolerable. You know what I mean? Or even 7.
Yeah.
I'll take them any day. And of course we have the winner of the heat, seed number 10, Spawn of Scudder, which is visually is both similar and completely different to the original Scudder's Revenge. It is. I love the idea of a wedge with a massive spike in it. I think that's a really cool idea.
It's a flipping spike, basically.
It worked against Banshee.
Yeah.
It really
it's
worked
probably
against
the
Banshee.
most effective use of a pneumatic spike that I've ever seen. Because generally they just kind of push robots apart, and they use that perfectly to throw an opponent rather than try to puncture them.
Yeah.
It's a shame they didn't go against Exterminator in the semi-finals, because Exterminator didn't have a base plate still. So they could have actually gotten... Yeah, because actually, did they ever have a base plate in the end, or did they never bother?
Series 5 onwards had a base
Series
plate.
5, yes.
It was like a really thin base plate.
Yeah, but Series 3 and 4 didn't have... I mean, the whole reason they have a base plate is why Panic Attack beat them in Series 3. But in Series 4, imagine if they'd gone underneath them and spiked the insides. That'd been amazing. But no, they got...
Spawn of Scudder might have actually won a semi-final.
Yeah, and of course they have Spawn of Scudder, then they end up Spawn Again from Series Extreme onwards. And Spawn Again is a very hit-and-miss robot. It's basically just... I personally...
When it works, it's good. When it doesn't work, it's shit.
It's actually... I might mention this in a very relatively early heat, but I probably mentioned this in Scudder's Revenge heat, but this is my favourite version of the Spawn robots, mainly because, while Spawn Again, when it's really effective, it's really effective, but here's the thing. When it's not, particularly in Series 6, it's rubbish. And also, it's that very stereotypical flat, pointy wedge design with nothing. It's not that interesting to look at, in my opinion.
What I will say about Spawn Again is it's the first robot to... I would say it's the first of... Because you know how the modern flipper is? It's basically the first of the modern flippers, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a big wedge with a huge flipping panel on it.
It's pretty much what robots like TR2 and Eruption have to thank in a way for that.
And Apollo, like looking at Spawn Again next to Apollo, they're quite similar.
Yeah, the only difference being that Spawn Again's a little bit less a little bit less wide and stuff. But it pretty much doesn't change design wise that much from Series 5 Extreme 1 onwards. So, but I mean it's weird because Series 3 and 4 they're actually both very weird looking unique designs, and Series 4 onwards, Series 5 onwards just goes for the. And that's why it disappoints me. It's just a standard flipper. It's a good flipper at times, but it's not that interesting to me. It's
not very reliable.
Oh yeah, I mean the Series 5 was okay. In Series 7 it actually really wasn't reliable at one point, and in Series 6 it was at its worst.
Series 7 is the best version of Spawn Again, and then it happens.
Yeah, the thing happens. But actually, also it's kind of funny because I think the this version of Spawn Again, especially with that spike, it managed to the spirit of the floor dildo lives on.
Yes, it
In
does.
Spawn
Yes.
again. I mean, particularly because the amount of robots in Series 3 that the massive, particularly that massive spike at the bottom of the arena screwed over, like Pitbull, Behemoth, of course, Thing 2, Berserk 2, and then of course, it screws over Banshee in like the first 10 seconds of the battle, which is amazing.
And
Also,
I do like how basically it's the theming around it's more like it's supposed to look like a bull, and that's why it's got the spike for it. Like I do kind of like that.
then
Basically
it just goes for weird spiderweb design from Series 5 onward. That just doesn't really fit the theme as much. Also, in case some people are slightly confused, I mean, I didn't watch the show when I was younger, so I didn't understand where the name was from. Because remember when I heard the first name in Scutter's Revenge in Series 3, I couldn't remember a robot called Scutter in Series 2, and I was like, where was Scutter? And I realized, oh, it's a Red Dwarf reference because it's Craig Charles. That's why they did it.
I love me some Red Dwarf.
I only got into it like a couple of years ago. That's probably why, because I just never got around to watching it. So then, Scutter's like the little robot things that help out on the ship, and I was like, there we go. The other robot being named after a Red Dwarf machine, of course, being Inquisitor, the villain of one episode. But I do like this. Is my favorite version of Spawn again. The Spawn again legacy, I guess. It wasn't as reliable at times, especially in the semi-final, but it has a unique weapon to it, which I have to give him credit for. Then, of course, the runner-up, which gave him such an amazing fight in the Heat final. It was beautiful. It was so great. It lasted all of 1 second, probably. Nightmare, later to be Spirit of Nightmare, which didn't qualify for the main series, but appeared in the Annihilator.
And then we have Raging Nightmare and Raging Reality,
which actually were pretty decent. Particularly in series, but particularly Raging Nightmare, of course.
Yeah.
It basically it's actually quite weird because the Raging robots actually had a triangular flipper, which I've never seen. I've never seen a robot's flipper being,
because that doesn't really work for a flipper.
It worked for them though.
Yeah.
But this version of Nightmare is fine as a first attempt. Obviously, you can tell going from this to Raging Nightmare in Series 7, there's a massive difference, but. Here, it's okay. It's just the front panel flipper's okay. I mean, again, it's a first try. Although the flipper is completely... Actually, quite wonder if it was flipped upside down, would the flipper actually be able to self-right it back again? To get so the flipper can carry on being used, or is it just not available?
I doubt it. I mean, it's a big robot.
Yeah, it copied the roadblock principle of let's steal some road signs and make a robot out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the Extreme 1 version, Series 5, that failed to qualify is pretty much the same thing. But it's got little
with more things on it.
It has little saws on it that look like from a Lego set.
And axes on the back.
And a little knight on it this time. See the pun?
Yeah.
It's funny. It's kind of weird because they called it Nightmare, but they didn't really have many knight things. All they had was a castle.
The reason why they called it Nightmare was because they said it was a nightmare to build.
It's quite weird for just a pyramid with a flipper on it.
Yeah.
But
it always seems to be like Rambot took 7 months to build, which is just like, was that just because you were just like, hey, let's go build the robot? Okay, when can we do that? Well, I can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. It's 4 months later. I just make a wedge.
Actually, they did give a very brave attempt in the Annihilator as well, which is very fun to see. But obviously, they do a lot better in Series 6 and 7 than although Heat Final's not that bad in this series.
I would say it's the worst Heat final it gives of the series, basically because nothing happens.
Well, yeah, it ends in like 2 seconds. So, I mean, it's not as bad as Panzer's one though. I mean, again, that didn't even move. At least Nightmare moved. It just lost its movable link or something as soon as it hit. And then we have we'll save the more interesting one for a sec. We'll go with Vercingetorix first.
The last of their good robots.
So I've never been a fan of Vercingetorix. Like I've never really remembered that line the entire time.
I like Vercingetorix. It's Covengetorix I don't like.
Oh yeah, the one that copies Mortis's kind of even more so.
The one that doesn't work.
That's saying a lot for the Vercingetorix robots because they never seem to work.
The one that they say when they come in Series 6, JP says, and they have a speed controller that they say is working this time.
That's not a good thing to say.
Yeah.
It works this time.
When we get to Covengetorix later on, I've got some rants about it because again, it's a good. That's the thing about Vercingetorix and Covengetorix. It's a good robot design, but I think Hydra basically came along and made it work.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of Vercingetorix, Mike?
It's a pretty reasonable robot, I guess. It's another one that I don't really remember other than the name.
Yeah, I've always found this robot very forgettable. I don't know why. It's been around from Series 2 to Series 6, and I've never really noticed it the entire time. Like, I mean, its highlight. It's kind of sad that it's the only highlight I can remember of Vercingetorix is getting put in the pit by Terrapin in Series 3. If you lose,
the other highlight for me is insulting the bigger brother team and resulting in a vengeance fight.
Yeah, that was so needed as well.
Yeah,
that was something to get. Because you can't fly the flag. Oh no.
Yeah.
Actually, they insulted Major Tom, and then Big Brother fought for them. Yeah, because Major Tom is so great at fighting. Probably, I think because they knew if Major Tom represented them, they would have lost. I think that's probably the only reason why they sent Big Brother in. And then, of course, the 26 seeds, Plunderbird 4. I mean, this time they just
shout out loud, make lots of noise. There's damage to be done by the Plunderbird boys. Gonna stamp on you, gonna hit you hard. Gonna send your robot to the breaker's yard. What's the word? Plunderbird.
Look forward to that one. Plunderbird 4. I mean, again, how many times can I mention I love the Plunderbird boys? How can you hate the Plunderbird boys? They're just... Again, they get weird. They get weirder and weirder I mean, by extreme, I don't know what they're doing. It's. I mean, even and that's saying something because in Series 4 they came in a friggin' helicopter for God's sake, and somehow that's not as silly as extreme. I mean, also
or what they do in techno games.
Oh, you'll enjoy them. Let's just face it. You'll know it when you see them, Mike, in techno game. They don't appear in Series 1. They appear in Series 2 and 3, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 and 3. Yeah.
They appear in the walking and the swimming. I think. I don't think they appear in anything else. But
they're not very subtle people, so I don't think I'm gonna miss them.
No, they carry on the Plunderbird theming into techno games.
Although the funny thing about techno games is they don't call themselves by their normal name. They call themselves like Mr. Smith.
Yeah, they're the Smiths with the Smith robot.
Yeah, hey, haven't I seen you before? No, you haven't seen us before ever. He's like, yeah, we're secret,
They're one of the few teams that they actually say this team's from Robot Wars.
Yeah, they pretty much flat out mention. It's very not often they mention Robot Wars in techno games, but
yeah,
they did it one of the few times they had to make a reference because they were in fairness they were being so unsubtle about it. I guess it was kind of obvious to mention it. But
you cannot play a character on a show like Techno Games and not be like, okay, guys, they're just joking.
Yeah. Actually, in fairness, going from Series 4 to Series 5 Plunderbird, there's not much difference, but the fact it gets slightly bulkier, it's black, and it retains the same core.
Series 5 Plunderbird is actually pretty decent robot.
It's also the only Plunderbird that doesn't run on tracks, it runs on wheels.
And it goes really ridiculously quickly as well.
Yeah, it also appears in the Nickelodeon series, didn't it? For their War of Independence
the UK
episode.
versus the US episode.
And a giant Union flag on it, because why not?
Yeah.
And also, Plunderbird actually damaged the entry gate in Extreme 1. They ran into it, and they've actually caused a permanent dent in it.
All the list of robots that have damaged the arena: Typhoon, Aftershock, Carbide, Plunderbird.
Well, in fairness, I'll put the picture on it when we get to Extreme 1, but the damage is very small, but it's kind of funny there.
They damage it enough where they can't use that thing for a while. They can't use that gate for a while.
And I will say something, though. You've never... Mike, one thing to look forward to for Extreme 1. I'll be honest with you, we mentioned before occasionally with you off recording about things like, awkward moments and a few cringy fights and all that kind of stuff, but... Right, the Plunderbird song, Have You Got a Shremek, is possibly the cringiest thing I've seen in Robot Wars ever. And I love the Plunderbird boys, but...
Oh man, if you guys like the Plunderbirds and still find them cringy, don't get me wrong, I'm entertained by them. A lot of the stuff that I say in my reviews is just to be silly. I genuinely find them hilarious.
Just wait till the episode where it's basically the whole the whole episode is basically them and Chromalot team. The Chromalot team. There's not really any kind of fight. It's just before the fight. It's just them dicking with each other throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, saying who's the best showman, basically. Who's the Pretty
that
much.
Almost sounds entertaining.
It is until he actually gets to the finale after the battle where they start singing their song, and Actually, it's funny because there's one bit where they're singing the song and stuff, and you have all the roboteers in the background, and a lot of them don't know what to do either. It's actually both really funny but also really cringy at the same time. And again, I love them, but
like, somehow they managed to rope in the bigger brother and Hypnodisc team to sing the song with them.
You also see Pussycat and Chaos 2 there as well. From the picture I was looking on the wiki, then they're there as well. And actually, there's a really funny in that picture. David Grubel looks really awkward. So again,
why am I here?
No. I mean, it's like he's been dragged somewhere with his parents. It's like, oh god. But again, I love the Plunderbird Boys, but that particular moment's cringy. But we haven't even talked about Series 4. I mean, Series 4, it's okay. It's an improvement over Series.
Yellow with a slice of dice, a cutty thing.
It's a lot better than Series 3, where its weapon had to be removed and it broke down after one track broke and then all of it broke.
Well, it's their theme that they say every time they lose a fight, which I kind of I love about the Plunderbird guys. It's like every time they lose, they just say, "Oh, we had a slight mechanical malfunction."
Yeah, it was only a slight mechanical. And also, they are not chickens, for the record.
Yeah.
Despite what Series 2 tells you.
Silence.
I love that's my that's still my favorite moment of Series 2.
I kind of wish they kept that shtick up and kept doing the silence.
Well, actually, here's the thing: they tried to enter Series 8 of Robot Wars, but the team they were with weren't allowed in, or something like that. They didn't get selected.
I would love to have seen them come back.
It was going to be Plunderbird 6.
I need more Mike Onzo and Brian Kilburn in my life. I really do. I'm also really jealous of Anderson because he's met them. I think a few times actually he's met them. And I'm like, God damn it, I want to meet these guys. But yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about Plunderbird more than probably the whole heap, but they are the most noticeable team in the entire heat, so it makes sense. And then both the robots that lose in the first round are robots that you look at them and you know they're going to get picked on because they're so shit, but they're so great at the same time. I don't even care. Like, they can have the best form of shit you can have, along with Millennium Bug and Claus Hopper and those kind of robots. And the first off, we have Banshee, which we saw in the pinball.
We just talked about.
We did, but this robot is. It's so well modelled, but god
it follows my idea of a good design, and they fucked it up.
Yeah, they got the really rubbish weapons on it with the drill bits stuck onto it. It barely spins very fast. It's 5 mph top speed. Technically it's awful. Aesthetically, you're never gonna forget Banshee again. I mean, going from Shark Attack in Series 3, which is just a very boring looking robot.
Hollow box.
Yeah, pretty much a box with a flipper that had not even worked properly until to this. Yeah, I love it. I love Banshee. I don't care how rubbish and how quickly it went out. But it does lead to one of your favourite moments, doesn't it, with the head, Alex?
I think one of many people's favourite moment of Robot Wars Series 4 is just shunt. He found a head and he's going to play with it.
Yeah, and his fight gets burnt as well. I mean, how much work the guy? Because the guy who was one of the guys in the team, I think it was the team captain, was like an art teacher or something, an arts person, and he made that and all that work. I mean, imagine it's the thing in Robot Wars. It's like Ton to Run, you know.
Yeah.
You bring a
Shunt saw it and he was going to have it.
It's like Ton to Run. You bring a robot in that is so beautifully crafted. House robots don't like that.
Let's know that two things that house robots don't like is a pretty robot and the robot that goes out quickly.
Actually, and a shiny robot in the case of Trident.
Yeah.
They don't like they want to rust that thing up as soon as they see it. I mean, again, what can you say about it? It's just Banshee.
It's a decent idea that they just it's a full body spinner. That's a good idea. But they didn't put anything on it that could really catch and rip anything off. It was just lathe tools. Like, wow.
It's another one of those like my first robot kit kind of robots.
But
like
it's not their
they
first
took the
robot.
idea of a full body spinner and they're like, right, how do we make this even work?
Yeah. Also, I do find it kind of pathetic that they couldn't even think. You know, because on the description of the robots, they have like the notes and all that.
Yeah.
Like, and for Banshee's description, all the notes says is body revolves. Well, no shit. It's a full body spinner. That's like Tornado's one saying goes fast. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling us that. I was really on my seat to find out what happened there.
Hypnodisc hit things.
Yeah, Chaos 2 has it can flip. Yeah, really. Or in Series 3 they called it a flip up, didn't they? Which weird phrase. Like, just call it a flipper. And then finally, possibly one of the most out there. I mean, that's saying a lot for robots. Even like so I'm talking about in general, not just in Series 4. Most out there looking robots that you'll never ever forget is, of course, Fat Boy Tin. I mean, Fat Boy Tin. Seriously, I love this thing, but at the same time, what did they expect?
What I love about it was that what I love about Fat Boy Tin is also that apparently the middle part, the actual body part, was supposed to move.
Was
It
it?
was supposed to. Yeah, they say they could really assert in the in between match interviews is like originally the middle part, like the body section, was supposed to be on a turret, but they had to remove it because of the weight.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So again, that was going to be that was technically going to be a full body spinner as well in a way, because it was supposed to be able to basically have a turret. The spikes were supposed to be operated on a turret.
Oh right. I mean, I love the idea of the little spikes on the hands. I don't know why. It's just a little detail, and also the little happy face on it that gets completely axed in by Shunt. But actually,
Shunt and his fetish for faces.
yeah, actually, it's more like a hatred. But actually, the one thing,
I mean, hate boner, I guess.
yeah, I guess so. He hates it because he again mentioned before he's in a house robot that doesn't have a face, so he's he's taking his sexual frustration out on other robots with faces. But actually, the one thing I don't know why the best highlight for me about Fat Boy Tin was actually the snail that was inside it the entire time, which actually inspired their Series 7 robot Shell Shock, which was rubbish. But mind you, these guys making it, what do you expect? But the second thing I loved about it was that when it fell over, it was probably the slowest fall ever. It was like timber.
It fell on Killalot, and Killalot was like, "Oh God!"
He's like, "Get it off me! Get it off me!"
Yeah.
The best thing about it is
It's touching me.
Yeah, the thing that what I loved about it as well, it was like it went it's like timber. Oh wait, hold on. Can you move? Can you move a bit?
Well, here's the thing. This is the first, and I think one of the few robots that's actually taller than Killalot.
Yeah,
like
it is.
competitive robots.
Actually, it's 1.2 meters high. I don't know. Is it the tallest robot entered in Robot Wars, or is it?
I think Demolition Man was taller.
Was it
Yeah.
Demolition Man? I'm just going to check.
Or Wowat.
Wowat might have been taller actually. Demolition Man was it's Demolition Demon. Fucking hell, wiki. Demolition Man. There we go. Demolition Man.
6 one as well.
Demolition 1, the Series 6 one was... Oh, it doesn't say. God fucking damn it. That is something I'll check on my own time, but yes.
I just remember because that's what JP said on it, so I was like, this is the tallest robot we've ever had.
Mind you, he forgot that Terrible existed in Series 4, and he also forgot that Kilotron... Well, twice he got Kilotron's stats wrong, so honestly, I don't really believe JP in the slightest. But, yeah, Fatboy Tin is definitely certainly in the top 3 tallest robots of the series. It is just gigantic.
I think only Gabriel's bigger than it.
Yeah, I think Gabriel probably is in terms of the whole series overall. Actually, even Miss Nightshade's not as tall as it. It's like a meter. Is Miss Nightshade a meter tall?
Yeah, Miss Nightshade's a meter tall. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 20 centimeters higher than that, but it's almost about 2/3 my height. So, yeah, it is massive. But I love it. Despite again, obviously shit and how
a windshield wiper. It's basically what it's basically. You'd think this, and you would think this was the sequel to Piece of Resistance.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, actually, I'm surprised it wasn't a Team Death robot. It really feels like a. I mean, obviously, I think the only reason why it's clearly not a Team Death robot is it's not overly designed. It's just loads of boxes.
Doesn't just catch fire.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because obviously they tried Immortalis in this series, didn't they? But then they ended in Series 6, and then Shunt definitely gave them a piece of his axe.
Series 5.
Yeah, in Series 5, yeah. But yeah, that'll be Heat K. Who is joining me for Heat K? I'll consult my little list. Heat K. We have oh yeah, it's Heat L. Sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. Heat L. Hopefully Anderson will be back for that because he said he'd be back next week. So I might, since I'm quite busy this week, I might actually postpone it until Anderson can return again. So
and Mike can catch up a bit. Mike can get a bit ahead again.
Yay!
Yay! I can get one episode further.
Tag Team Terror. Yippee! But yeah, of course that was unfortunately Heat K. I'm not going to say fortunately. That was just awful. But
skip it.
Yeah, L's thankfully. Yeah, again, if you want
to listen to us entirely talk about the episode, you don't have to. Watch it again.
Just skip to the part.
Whatever the episode sounded like to you is probably better than it actually was.
Just skip to the part where we're talking about Plunderbird, and that's it. That's really all you want to do. But yeah, thank you, guests, once again, of course. I'm Jimjamatic, signing off.
I'm Alexthehunted. I can't think of anything witty to say.
And I am Mr. Psycho, somehow crammed under the bed.
Yay! Get back in there now.